hello, and welcome back to Journey of a Fearless Female. I'm your host, Paola Rosser, and this week my guest is Dr. Christine Manukyan. She is a PharmD Holistic Wellness Coach, certified Breathwork Practitioner, four-time best-selling author, and the host of the top-ranked STORRIE Podcast. She is pioneering in the field of holistic health, leading with Wholistic Wellness, a revolution, and creating the new gold standard of care. In 2007, Dr. Christine graduated from pharmacy school and entered the world of hospital pharmacy, rising quickly into leadership ranks. Still, something always felt off. She could never quite shake the feeling that her chosen career required her to compromise her personal health and family life for the financial gain of the corporation. She saw clinicians around her feeling burnt out, unfulfilled, struggling to believe in the solutions they were providing. It wasn't until she underwent her own health reclamation in 2015 that she decided to take a leap of faith, leave corporate America, and pursue her passions. She started STORRIE Institute in 2020, formerly called Functional Medicine Business Academy, to provide other clinicians with financially viable, legally sound approach to offering holistic services without compromising or overshadowing their medical health or wellness training. Her Gallup strengths perfectly complemented her focus. As a highly futuristic achiever, she is able to foresee the trajectory of market trends and produce real strategic solutions. Her ability to ideate and create large-scale plans helps her students compete and win in otherwise challenging market. Above all else, Dr. Christine wants to instill an entrepreneurial mindset and skill set in her students so they can access and serve clients in virtual world while taking charge of their financial futures. She believes the focus will equip them to withstand any market changes that are to come and create a quantum leap forward in the field of functional medicine and wellness, holistic wellness. Everybody, please welcome Dr. Christine Manukyan. How are you?
Hi, my love. Thank you so much. I'm like, you're hired. Like, you're like, who's she talking about? Like, you're amazing. Thank you so much. What an honor to be in your tribe. What an honor to meet you in person and hug you and be present in your energy.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, like we connected right away. I'm like, I knew like there's so much synergy going on. So I'm like, I cannot wait what we're going to talk about today. I cannot wait to share our wisdoms and our stories, because the gift that you're providing to the world, to your audience, by bringing, guests, it's the ripple effect is amazing. So thank you, my love. I appreciate you.
Oh my gosh, I am so happy to have you on the podcast. So much has gone on in your journey just by your bio alone. Let's start from the beginning. Let's tell about your fearless female journey. Where did it all begin?
Well, I'm going to start with saying, if you only think Wonder Woman is a fiction character, I call myself a real life Wonder Woman, and I'll explain you why. I am actually born and raised in Armenia, and I came to the United States when I was 16 years old. So coming to a new country with nothing, no money, like my family was just really struggling, financially, living like on welfare, and like me trying to find myself, like, who am I? Because the
Mm-hmm.
cultural background that I have back home is very different from
Mm-hmm.
America. But what I did know was, like, I was put here in this time. I was born in this time of season to have a purpose in life. And I just didn't know what that was at that moment. And going through my own, life and health transformation too, I realized, like, wow, there's something inside me that I really want to bring this to the world. And, you know, living in America, like, my life changed completely. So I started getting used to the American diet. And I'm saying this in quotes because I was like, what is American diet? I come with a
Yeah.
strong cultural background, food is medicine, Mediterranean food. Like, I love that. And like all of a sudden, like I'm kind of like pivoting into, trying to feel cool and look cool around my friends and my high school friends, because I didn't want to bring cultural food to, pack my own lunch. I'll have to eat at the cafeteria. And I'm sharing all this because we all go through the seasons of growth in our life, trying to fit in, trying to become someone that society has this like image of you being. And I
Yes.
just knew there like something was just off. And yes, being, this new lifestyle, really just living, and I would just say surviving. And what happened was I had to like find my ways of coping, and food became my coping mechanism because I was not one of those like popular kids around the table, like I didn't have a network of friends, go out. I didn't have that. So what I would do is like I would go home and binge eat. I wouldn't eat
Mm.
publicly as much, but I would go home and I'm like stressing out and eating. And I was like, what is going on? But
Yeah.
again, I was 16 years old. I wasn't really understanding what this looks like. And then it became all about like, okay, what is my coping mechanism? My next coping mechanism became like, let me study hard for point 4 GPA, becoming on honor rolls, going to the best colleges, going getting my doctorate degree as a pharmacist. Like it's always like coping in a way of like, let me keep myself busy because the society honors women who
Yes.
are smart. Let
Mm-hmm.
me really put myself through this crazy wild diet so I can fit in to the sexy dresses that again the society wants to see me. And again, what I was doing was I was just messing myself up.
Yeah.
I forgot who I was. I did not understand what I stand for because one day I was standing for one thing, another day it was something else. And I was just living this life of like trying to like fit in depending where I was
Yeah.
versus being very true of like, no, this is who I am and this is what I bring into the world. And I'm sharing all this is because again, everyone has a story, and that's entirely, pretty much the brand of what I stand for in my company story. We all have to find a way to let go of the stigma associated to our story. We all have to find a way and strength to, not care so much about other people's opinions and really
Mm-hmm.
be vulnerable and share your struggles, because when you're vulnerable, when you open those doors, more people come.
Yeah.
More people understand the struggles that I was going through behind the scenes because now it's more public. And again, going through my entire, career, having the best job, I would say, here in California, Beverly Hills, working in a top-notch hospital, like, hanging out with quote unquote celebrities, that was like the norm. But I didn't realize, climbing that ladder was actually killing my dreams and my
Mm.
hopes because I was chasing after the wrong thing. And
Yeah.
here I am, morbidly obese by this point. I'm 35 years old at that time, morbidly obese. I am a new mom of two, and juggling, life and family and career, and the stress was just too much, too much. I was addicted to like sweets and carbs and artificial crap. I'm gonna say crappy food that has
Yeah.
0 calories because it's 0 calories, right? I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
anybody. It's embarrassing to admit as a clinician, a very smart woman, like I wasn't reading labels because
Yeah.
that's not what I've been taught. That's not what I've been surrounding myself with. And I found myself in my annual checkup, my doctor's office at age 35, again, high cholesterol, morbidly obese, high stress, not sleeping well, just hot mess. I'm like, how was I surviving? I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know. My nervous system was so out of whack. And my doctor like looked at me, and I'm so grateful for her to use the words that she used because that really shook me up. She looked at me, she said, Christine, the way you're going, you're gonna have a heart attack in the next 5 years.
Wow.
And I'm like sitting there, I was like, what? Okay, I knew I'm not in the best shape, but she really shook me using those big words. And of course, I'm not saying anything against, traditional medicine, but I wish I was given options, but again, at
Mm-hmm.
that moment, I was just giving a solution, which was a prescription to take to lower my cholesterol, because again,
Oof.
that's what traditional medicine does.
Yes.
And I got that piece of paper. I went to my car after my, office visit, and I sat in my car, Paula, and I started like bawling. I was like,
Mm.
no, like, no, no, no. This piece of paper is like, quote unquote, like an easy way out of this
Yeah.
scenario. And I was like, no, there has to be a better way. No, I
Mm-hmm.
have to stand for what I really believe. Yes, I'm a pharmacist, but I hate taking drugs. I hate taking pharmaceuticals. And I know there has to be a better way. I just didn't know what that looked like. And I said, today is the day I'm going to decide to rewrite my story.
Mm.
chapter of my life that I've been in, this movie that I've been creating, I've been directing, I'm in the wrong movie. I'm like, no, something has to change.
Yeah.
At that moment, like sitting in my car, like just saying, claiming, and praying God, or anything you believe in, like the universe will deliver anything that you're looking for. And
Yes.
literally, like few days later, one of my colleagues, also a pharmacist, Dr. Sadie, she came into my life saying, like, hey, I've been doing this cleanses, I've been taking all these herbs, I've been doing all this adaptogens. And I'm like looking at her, I'm like, Sadie, is this legal? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I've never heard those words. I've never heard of like, holistic healing and functional medicine. I was like, what is this? Oh my gosh, there's a whole world around there. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, what? Why are we not taught this at school? Why are we not exposed to this? And that's when I decided to really study and be product of really including all these different modalities into my own life with this holistic approach. So then I'm excited to share this, to lose over 100 pounds.
Woo!
And
Congratulations.
I lost not only 100 pounds, but I became the best version of myself. I also made
Mm.
a decision to step down from that toxic, high stress job that I had, still within the department, the pharmacy. But I was like, I don't want to be in management role anymore. Like, this is like killing me. So again, I had to decide what is causing the stress. I had to understand the root cause of my well-being to target those and heal from within.
Yeah.
And, not only I lost 100 pounds, but this is where I also decided to start my very first competition in bikini. That
Wow.
and I was Wonder Woman on stage. So
That's so
this is what
cool.
I'm talking about. If you guys follow me on social media as well too, on Instagram, I like to share a lot of that journey as well too. Like, here I am losing 100 pounds after kids and have a crazy wild six-pack that was made in the kitchen and in the gym, not with medications, not with anything else. But this is like really stepping into my power. I'm like, this is me.
Yeah.
And crazy to even think about, but again, we all have that inside us. But again, I was not thriving in the environment that I was in,
Oh,
because my colleagues in my hospital, they didn't believe in this herbal stuff. They thought I was nuts.
yeah.
I
Oh my
was
gosh.
surrounded with the wrong people with the wrong mindset, and that's why I didn't know who I was. And there was that disconnect of like what's within me, what my passion is, versus what the society wants you to believe in or say. And I'm like, no, like you have to like own it. Anyways, I'm
Yeah.
gonna pause here because I can talk about this all day long, and I'm
Oh,
getting
I
really
was I
excited.
was
Like,
gonna say, let's go back to the beginning of your
yeah,
story. I loved how you said, you didn't want to eat your cultural food because you wanted to fit in. And I think we relate on that so much because I'm Mexican and my mom always wanted to send me with like, a tortilla and freaking, sopa. And I was like, oh, I was so embarrassed. Like I wanted what everyone else had, like a Lunchable or something. And I remember wanting so bad to assimilate with the white culture, and like I dyed my hair blonde, I would wear blue contacts. Like I wanted so bad to be a part of that culture. And I think, that's a conversation that's just now getting to be spoken about because there are so many children from a different background, Asian, Hispanic, Armenian, European, Indian, and you go to an American school and you're being made fun of because your food smells differently or it doesn't look like what they normally get served. And so there starts that story of, I shouldn't be eating this. I should be eating like the packaged food that's like on a truck for a week and then sits on a grocery shelf for another week before someone buys it. And now it's sitting in your gut. And people don't understand that all of the food that America has, and I've seen so many videos where people go to Europe and they lose weight eating the exact same food because the ingredients are different. Here in America, there's a lot of things and a lot of ingredients that are approved by the FDA that are supposedly good for us. It turns out that there's all these like cancers and, diseases that we're getting specifically because of our diet. And that's um, truly like just a conversation within itself because I watch a lot of TikTok stories, and a lot of people are like, oh, you can't have this, you can't have that. Oh, our water is contaminated. Before you know, you're like, well, what can I have? Like, right? You're like, I can't have anything because everything seems to have an ingredient in it that is not good for our body. And, and everyone's different because everyone's body is different. And I just recently had all my blood work done. I wouldn't consider myself overweight, but I have high blood pressure. And I'm like, wait a minute. How do I have high blood pressure? Or even you think about it, like you said, where your doctor was like, you might have a heart attack. We don't think as women that we're going to have heart attacks, but actually heart disease is the number one killer of women all across the board. And it's because we run ourselves rampant, right?
Yep.
We
Yep.
stop, we don't eat breakfast because the kids have to get ready to go to school. We skip lunch because we have to finish what we have to finish. We're like exhausted by the end of the day. Like I just posted a video on Instagram where I had to run all my errands for the day. And I'm like, I don't have any kids. Like I have two stepsons, but I only have them twice a week. And I'm just kind of like, I can't imagine doing everything that I do and having kids at home. Like little kids where they need your every single like dying attention. Like I'm just kind of like, how do women do it? And they're doing it every single day, but running themselves rampant, right? And not really taking care of their health first, which is detrimental to like how you're going to be there for your children in the end. Like, do you want to like leave them without a mom, or do you want to take care of yourself so that you are there to watch them grow up, to watch them graduate, to watch them have children, to be there for your future grandchildren?
Oh my gosh, amen. And I'm so glad we're talking about this because, I've been in many interviews by incredible women and men interviewing, but we never talk about this. So thank you for asking this and actually talking about this cultural things because it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And, even myself too, as an example, yes, I came when I was 16. Paula, back home, every morning my mom will feed us like nice toast of bread with butter. Like that's like splurging and with honey because it was we needed the fat from the butter. Everything is organic. I didn't even know there's a difference between organic, not organic.
Mm-hmm.
We drink the faucet water, I guess, the tap water. We never know there's a difference. And again, this is how I grew up eating that amazing food that was literally from farm to table, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is fresh, right? And here I am, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot drink tap water now. Okay, we now have to, let's go buy plastic water because that's
Mm-hmm.
better.
Yeah.
It's not better, right? Oh no, you cannot eat butter because you're gonna gain weight. You don't want your cholesterol to be high. But again, all this crap that's in our food that's been not only processed, but all this colorings that they have.
Mm-hmm.
As a clinician, I run tests like food sensitivity testing, all these things that we run. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like these are things I would have never even thought it's part of our food. Food is not
Mm-hmm.
food anymore, especially
No.
nowadays. It's not food anymore, right?
It's a commodity. It's like, how long can I make it last on the shelf so I could sell
Yes,
it faster? And that's
yes.
what's sad is that they don't think about like what they're doing to our health, and not just our health, but our children's health, because we're feeding them this. We're
Mhm.
feeding them the Doritos with the red D dye. We're feeding them the Gatorades with the red D dye. We're feeding them all these things with like the glucose sugar that we're not supposed to have. Like, and then we're wondering why a lot of our children have diabetes or they're overweight at such a young age.
Mhm. Or they're diagnosed with ADHD because they don't realize our gut is our second brain. It should actually be known as our first brain because that
Mm-hmm.
controls everything in our body. And yes, we're talking about kids, and I'm like, part of me feels guilty. I was like, I should have known better, right? But again,
Mm-hmm.
like everything has, like, we have to go through it first to understand the value. So now I can teach that to my kids. Again, the first 5 years of my motherhood, I didn't read labels because I was
Mm-hmm.
living the crazy, roller coaster ride without taking care of myself, right? Because that's what all I knew. That's what I've been taught. That's the environment I've been in. But after that, I was like, no, we read labels. My son is 12 and he is like obsessed with cooking. He's like loves everything. And first thing he does, flips the back and reads the ingredients. And he knows if he cannot pronounce it, we're not buying it. And I don't
Right.
care how beautiful it looks. I don't care. It's on sale. That's another way people get in, right? It's on sale. if he can't pronounce what's in there, we're not bringing it home. But again, it
Yeah.
took me years to get to this point. So again, if you're a new, parent, or just for yourself too, like you don't have to be a parent, like just do me a favor, just flip the bottle around, like whatever you're grabbing, right? If it's not fresh, if it's boxed, like you need to read ingredients. I
Yeah.
don't care it says GMO free in the front. I don't care it says organic or, gluten free. I don't really care. Read the back. Read the
Hmm.
back, because this is where they get you. So
Yeah.
again, the front tells one story for the consumer. The back is what goes inside your body, and this is what's going to change your life. And yeah, like learning all this like things again, like I didn't change quote unquote my diet too much. I wasn't like, continuing to like eat tons of food all the time, but it was the quality of foods that was going in my body. My body was like, what the heck is going on? And again,
Hmm.
our liver is supposed to be, it's meant to detox our body, but we live in this toxic environment that our body is not recognizing these toxins that we're consuming, whether it's from the air, from the cosmetics, from anything we touch and eat and smell. Our body is like, I don't know who you are. I cannot detoxify. I have no clue how to get rid of you. And what it does, it stores it. And where it stores it in our fats, because our fat will just stick to those toxins. Just think it's like the magnets. So
Hmm.
if you don't intentionally do cleansing, intermittent fasting, whatever way of to get rid of that, it's just going to accumulate. So then, yeah, years later, you're like, oh, I have high blood pressure. Oh, I have diabetes. Oh, I have cancer. Oh, I have this. I have that, because it's that accumulation. They like trips over in your body. You're like, oh shit, like how did I get here?
Yeah.
Right? It's like those years and years and years, especially autoimmune,
Mm.
especially autoimmune. A lot of, especially women, get diagnosed with autoimmune like fibromyalgia because
Mm.
of stress. My mom is one of them.
Yeah.
My mom is one of them. And again, you don't realize how much stress is impacting your internal organs and life in general, and the trauma you hold on to that you haven't healed from that shows up as a disease in your life. Again,
Hmm.
there's so much we can talk about, but
I
again,
know.
it's like it's just eye-opening, and I hope I'm giving, your listeners, like another hope that there is a better way. Please do not give up. Like, please don't say like, oh, I've tried diets, I've tried this. Try again one more time.
Yeah.
What if I did not try again or harder, or like be really all in of decisive, like I got to change my life, I'm not gonna die,
Yeah.
right? And you have to really own it. Like your why has to be so strong to change your life. Otherwise, you're just gonna be in this like yo-yo lifestyle, whatever that looks like, yo-yo lifestyle in your relationships, in your life, in your finances,
Hmm.
all aspects of life, right? So again, I want you all to like know there is a better way out there waiting for you, but you have to be open to receive it, and you have to be open to really saying like enough is enough. This is the day I'm
Yeah.
going to rewrite my story.
Yes. I mean, it's really hard to stick to like reading the labels and eating the things, because they, especially with children, because you're running around and you're like, oh, I'll just give it to them. Oh, we'll just go to the McDonald's drive-through or whatever. I know for a fact because my sisters have like 6, 5, and 4 and 3 kids, and they're just running around. They don't have time to like prepare something from scratch. And I also have a friend who's like a granola mom who's like, I don't want them to eat sugar. But then you send them to a birthday party and they have to have their own like snacks, and they're looking at all the other little kids and they get to have pizza and cake, and they're wondering why they're different. So it's a real hard journey to be different. But I love that you said you have to stick to your why. You have to stick to your why are you doing this? Because I've also watched a couple of videos of women who are older, who their parents like, we're going to be vegan, we're not going to have these sugars, you're going to have to eat this kind of food, you have to have nuts and berries and all this stuff. And the girl in the video was like, I hated my parents back then. I hated my parents for making me like have this weird diet where I thought it was weird. But now as I'm growing up, I'm realizing that they cared about my health, and they cared about my brain function, and they cared about my gut. And now I have friends who have, like you said, autoimmune disorders, or they haven't pooped in a week, or they have skin, rashes, or they can't figure out why they have all these pimples on their body, and it's all has to do with what we're putting inside our body. And your gut is your second brain. There's a reason why your stomach is like, hurting or like giving you diarrhea, or there's a reason why your body is constantly speaking to you. Like I remember when I worked in corporate, I would get weird tics, like my eye would twitch a lot. I would have heart palpitations. I had really bad diarrhea when I would have so much stress. And it was like, what's going on? Well, my body was telling me, relax, take a day off, like take care of me. But I wasn't listening to it, because when you're in that corporate grind, you're just like, I gotta go, I gotta keep going, I've got to get that raise, I've got to be the manager, I've got to get the corner office. And you forget about your health. And people don't understand that your health is your wealth. You could have all the money in the world and you can get that job in the corner office, but if you die before you could even live the fruition of your dreams, then what was the point of it all? Like I heard of a story of this guy who was like, I'm going to wait till I could go sailing until I retire. And he ended up dying of a heart attack because he didn't leave a healthy lifestyle, and his sailboat stayed in his driveway and never even touched the ocean. He never even got to experience sailing because he didn't take care of the very first thing that we should, which is us.
Yeah. And our body keeps the score. So again, if this individual you're talking about, and that actually happened to one of my colleagues when I started working here in my hospital, and I'm seeing, the older generation, they're about to retire, and I'll ask him like, where'd you go in your last vacation? They're like, oh, we're saving up for retirement. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, really, why? Like, you know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
I love to experience, right? And when you don't bring in this like small doses of joy in your life every single day, it doesn't have to be big things and big vacations. It can be just like, I'm going to go take a 15-minute nap uninterrupted. And I don't care if like X, Y, and Z is calling me or texting me. I don't really care. That's what's going to give me joy, right?
Yeah.
And just really telling your body to experience joy. And joy is the highest vibration that we live in versus stress and,
Hmm.
all this negative things that we're dealing with. So again, having your body know how it feels like to be happy, how it feels like to be grateful, how it feels like to live an abundant life, how it feels like to say thank you to someone who compliments you versus like justifying why someone is saying something nice about you, right?
Yeah.
All these things that we have inside us, like you have to train your brain, and it doesn't have to be this big dramatic change. And those people who are like, that's it, I'm gonna like change my diet, I'm gonna work out, they're putting like so much pressure on them to be good. Well, let me tell you, your body doesn't know the difference between good pressure or bad pressure. Stress is stress. Now your body is stressed that you're working out 7 days a week and you're killing yourself, your cortisol is
Hmm.
gonna go up. I don't want you all to do that. So you all have to learn a way to start. And the reason I'm telling the story about my, coworker, because he was waiting for this big, vacation with his grandkids. And literally 2 months later, after he retired, he passed away,
Oh.
just silently having a heart attack while he was in the pool with
Mm.
his family. And I'm like, I still get chills hearing about this. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, no, like this is not okay. And
Yeah.
again, I didn't just like wake up one day, had everything figured out. Trust me, you guys, I'm like nowhere close to figuring things out.
I don't
I
think
am
any
just
of us
living my
are.
best. Yeah, I'm just living the best way I can at this moment, this season of growth, the season of life that I'm in. But again, you have to remember your body keeps the score. It
Hmm.
remembers how it feels like to be ashamed of the food you're bringing into the table. It feels, remembers that how you felt when you received your very first compliment or your very first raise. It also receives all this like energy from people you surround yourself with. So
Hmm.
again, if you have to do one single thing today, Don't go crazy and chasing after like, changing your whole pantry or like signing up for gyms and doing all this bizarre things. Change the environment you're in.
Mm.
Like literally detoxify your environment. And it's okay to say no to your cousin's, so and so's birthday party that's causing stress for you to go because you just don't want to go, but you cannot say no because that's not the right thing to do. No. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to justify why you cannot go to a birthday party.
Yes.
And I'm saying all this because we put so much pressure on us to please other people, but
Yes.
we don't realize what it's doing to us.
Yeah.
Now I'm stressed out to plan for that event that I just said no to. I don't want to be there. And that stress, I'm going to bring it back home. And now my
Yeah.
kids are going to see more irritated mom. The wife is going to be like, a bitch. Sorry if I can cuss on your
Yes, you
show.
can.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like we don't
Yes.
realize the consequences, the people who are relying on our presence, on our energy. And like, who cares if I didn't go? Honestly, like it
Yeah.
shouldn't matter.
I
So
think, like you said earlier, like your body keeps the score and it's always telling you what to do. So
yeah,
if someone invites you, and it doesn't matter if it's family, if they
yeah,
invite you somewhere and you are having literally anxiety in your body's telling you, I don't feel comfortable going there. I think people don't understand that the word disease is dis-ease. If you're going to put your body in dis-ease, you're going to create more stuff in your body. Like people don't understand that. Like,
100%.
if you're getting cancer of the throat, maybe it's because you never got to talk or you were told to shut up a lot. Or if you're getting cancer of the stomach, everything is related.
Yes.
Everything in your body is like related. You're holding on to a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. And then on top of that, you're eating stuff that you shouldn't be eating. And so your body is completely out of whack, out of alignment, dis-eased. If you want ease, you have to get yourself back into alignment and ask yourself, do I want to go there? If your body is like, absolutely not, like you said, no is a complete sentence, and you don't have to give them an explanation at all. Maybe when you were a kid, you didn't have the ability to say no because you were a kid and you had to go to every family event. But now you're an adult and you have your own family, and they come first before this other family. This is when it even says it in the Bible: when you leave your family, you cleave to your new husband and your family there. So they should be your priority. And like you said, you're bringing that energy, negative energy, back into your home, and you're causing that ripple effect. So do you want to continue the trauma, or do you want to be the generational curse breaker? Like, do you want to be that person? And simple as that. Listen to your body, listen to how you feel, and if it makes you feel diseased, if it makes you feel out of alignment, then that's not where you should be going.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so powerful. And like you said, like in the beginning, we always like, as a child, you're like, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go there. But I literally just a few months ago experienced something that I have never experienced in the past. And it was going to a birthday party because obviously we were invited and it's family. And of course, the kids have to go, it's a
Mm-hmm.
16th birthday party. And I never really stopped and asked, my kids, how do they feel about, they're 10 and 12. How do they
Mm-hmm.
feel about going to a party that's going to be music, there's going to be dancing, and it's going to be 16, 17-year-old, boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Paula, I didn't realize the power of that because, a few minutes in, everything is fine. We're eating our food. And then, the boys went and start dancing. And then I'm like, okay, guys, let's go dance. Cause it's normal for me. I can go, have a good time. Right. And then my son was he just froze. Like he
Mm.
was just not moving on on the dance floor. And I'm like, Alexander, like, I'm like using his hand just to like, have fun. You know what I mean? And he was just like stuck there. He froze. His body just literally froze. And then he goes like, Mommy, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, go. He went. I'm not like keeping an eye on him. He knows where to go. And 20 minutes later, I was like, where's he? He's not at the table with my husband. He's not doing any. Where is he? he was having a massive panic attack
Oh.
because he was put in the wrong environment that he didn't want to be in. And
Mm.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't even realize that much of a shift can happen to somewhere that he wasn't really prepped to go. This is his first time being in like kind of, environment that he doesn't know how to do, and, or dance or move or connect or be part of, right? And he
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. His body was like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to escape.
Yeah.
And we spent literally 3-4 hours that day. I'm not kidding. Me trying to calm him down, like trying to do some breath work. And he was sobbing and sobbing. And finally, we're like, let's go outside. He was having panic attack. I had to like literally bring him like a bag and breathe and all this. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I didn't even know how to react myself in that situation because it was new to me too.
Yeah.
And I'm sharing all this because you just never know, what can happen. But we need to be very cognizant of like, next time when I say, yes, we're coming to this event, if my kids are involved, I'm asking them too,
Yeah.
hey, how do you feel going here? How do you feel spending time here? Because it matters. Yes, he's
Mhm.
12 years old, but it matters, right? And again, the following day, I was like, okay, let's have a conversation. What can we do better? And he just said, Mommy, I just didn't feel like I fitted in.
Oh.
I did not feel like I belonged there. I didn't want like, and that was too much for him. And yes, maybe it's because it was around the same time he just transitioned schools. He's from elementary school to middle school. There's a lot going on. But again, it's been building up the stress from being in middle school, the first few weeks, right? And then the event, it was just too much for his body to shock. And this is
Yeah.
exactly what we're talking about, right? Those small events, if you don't take care of them, that twitching, this and that, it's going to build up to the disease we just talked about. It's going to build up to something you're like, how the heck did I get here?
Yeah.
And it's too late. It's too late. Yes, you can get out of it. Trust me, I've seen that. I've done that. Like I've experienced that. But you don't want to gamble with your life at that point. And,
Mhm.
when we're young and healthy, we have million dreams.
Yeah.
But when you're sick, you only have one dream: to have your health back. I want
Yeah.
you all to remember that next time you're making decisions, next time you're trying to figure things out, or next time when you're really like ignoring the signs that your body's telling you, like, please do whatever it is. Like, again, environment is everything. Listening to your body, understanding every decision you make is getting you either closer to thriving lifestyle, or it's
Yeah.
like putting you like years back. You may
Ugh.
not realize it now, but you will, trust me, it will hit you hard. And I don't want to see, I don't like to see my clients when they're at that breaking point. I'm like, please come to me when you're like trying to like preventing it more, versus like you're already so sick and we're like, oh shoot, like we need like a really like a lot of time to like heal this body, right?
Yeah.
Let's not wait that long. Like, please don't wait that long.
Yeah. I also loved earlier in your story when the doctor said, you have to be on this high blood pressure medication. You're like, no, I don't want to be on this stuff, because that happened to me too. Because when my father died, I was like a zombie and I couldn't function. And I went to the doctor and they were going to give me antidepressants. And I remember like just being so sad. And my friend who was, in the medical industry, she was like, Paola, that's going to change your brain forever. Like you don't take these. I remember her grabbing my little CVS bag and she threw it in the trash. And she was like, you've got to do something else to get away from the anxiety. And that's when I started running. And like, that really helped me a lot. But that is like such an important thing, because you are a pharmacist. Like you're a pharmacist. Like this is what you went to school for. Like tell us a little bit about why it was so important for you to not take the drug that you actually as a pharmacist prescribe, to actually like doing it the healthy way.
Yeah. And I think, more we know, more, you know, I'm going to rephrase this. I disagree when people say knowledge is power. What I do agree with, applied knowledge is power. Okay. So again, we are smart, we understand all these things. I'm very knowledgeable, right? But again, I also see people doing yoga and meditation, but I ignored it.
Mm,
I always know healthy diet, a lifestyle, is good, but I never applied that knowledge to my life. Does that make sense? I was
Yes.
smart about, what's the right way or bad way, right? I know there's other ways, but I never applied that knowledge in my life. And I decided to, not to take the medication. It was for my cholesterol. And I was like, no, let me apply all these things I've heard of, but now it's time for me to implement, right?
Mm.
Combined with having someone who already has implemented in her life, my colleague, I was like, oh my gosh, I get to do this with you. Let's go, let's implement, right? So again, knowing that, there's always a fast way, there's always this like quick patch of, recovery we can do, like damage control, but always understand like what's underneath it that needs to be healed first.
Mm.
And again, many of us don't realize the power of that. They're like, oh, I just want to lose weight. Okay, good. I can help you to lose weight. But if we're not healing a lot of, trauma that comes with the weight loss, with that image and all these things, you're going to gain that back even more.
Yes.
You're going to
Mm-hmm.
gain that even more. So it's like having that holistic approach of like your entire life, like mind, body, and soul and spirit,
Mm-hmm.
everything comes in together as a human being. So yeah, as a pharmacist, I was like, I'm not taking that toxic pills. Because I know so much about the side. I was like, no, it has to be a better way. And it
Yeah.
was a time for me to start advocating for what I want. And this is another thing too, Paula, because, I love doctors. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a clinician myself too. But as a human being, for some reason, our society puts the doctors on this like pedestal, right? It's like we have to listen to what they say. Well, what if it's wrong? What if it's not the right thing? So I really want to advocate for, you got to speak up. I don't care who is in front of you. If something doesn't feel good to you, speak up. Right? I should not have been ashamed to walk away with the prescription, agreeing that I'm going to take, right? Because I walked away with the piece of paper, but then sitting in my car and crying, saying, I'm not taking this damn thing, which I actually ripped. I was like, no, like I literally physically had to say no to it, right? But again, a lot of times, people they don't give themselves permission to speak up. And you talked about the throat, and yeah, your throat chakra can be blocked and it can cause lots of disease, lots of issues, health issues, because yes, maybe as a child you were brought up, you need to be quiet, right? And for myself, it's always goes back to cultural too. Like, in our society, again, I did not grow up here. I was brought up and back home. Women don't really have a voice because it's the men who makes all the decisions. You have to be asked to speak when to speak, right? You don't just go up there and like start a conversation. It's like, no, like you need to be quiet and you literally agree on what your husband or spouse says, and you don't like raise your concerns. So again, I've carried that along with all the time, but I just knew at that moment in this medical, experience that I was in, I was like, no, I need to like do something for me.
Yeah.
And I like, I walked away. I didn't even tell her that I'm not going to take it. Like, I mean, I kind of said it like, really, like, is this it? Like, but again, like we didn't go deep of like other options, right? It was just more of like, okay, like I'm going to get out because 5 minutes of consult that we have, that's all we get. But I went back for my follow-up appointment because again, they want you back. So I did. And 6 months later, I was back in the office. Mind you, during the 6 months, I've already implemented my new lifestyle. I was doing all these incredible things with my health, stepped down from my position. I really changed my life. I dropped about like 20 pounds or so, like 15,
Wow.
20 pounds. Yeah. There's so much can get out when you're like doing the internal work, right? And I got to my labs, I got my labs, and my doctor looked at it. She's like, oh, Christine, I'm going to ask you to repeat the labs again. There's an error in your labs. And and I know what she's saying because I know what the work I've been doing. And I was like, Dr. Lee, what do you mean? Like, I have to repeat the labs. Like, oh, didn't get enough lab sample? Like, what's going on? She's like, no, these numbers don't make sense. And I was like, oh, no, they do make sense. This is what I've been doing.
Oh.
So then she was like, oh, you didn't take the Lipitor prescription? I'm like, no, I didn't. So then she was like, what have you been doing? And now
Uh-huh.
I'm educating my clinician of what lifestyle changes that I made those 6 months when I didn't see. And then, yes, my cholesterol was incredibly improved. And that's why she was not trusting the numbers. She was like, this cannot be it. Because
Yeah.
that drug will not improve your cholesterol that much, right?
Yeah.
So again, I'm sharing all this because again, sometimes we get, we don't feel like we can speak up or we can ask for, can you explain more? Like, what do you mean by that? Because again, we think like we're going to be ashamed that we're not smart or we don't get it, or, oh, the doctor's in a hurry. Like, who am I to like hold them back? No.
Yeah. Or we think the doctor has authority.
Yes,
And
it's
a
not
lot of
authority.
people, yeah, a lot of people don't understand they're practicing medicine. They're practicing. They're trying to figure it out themselves, And so I love that you said, knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. And that's the thing. We all know what we're supposed to do. We all have the information and we all have the amazing access to find the information on the internet. It's just whether or not your why is big enough to apply the knowledge, and actually do what you have to do. When my dad passed away and I had crazy anxiety and I couldn't sleep and I was completely dysregulated in my body, it would be easy for me to just take a pill to feel happy again. But I knew that I didn't want to change my brain. And so I started running. And the first mile, it was hard. I couldn't even run the first mile, but by the end of the summer, I was running 9 miles a day. And it was amazing. I mean, my knees aren't the best anymore, but it was the best thing that I could do to deal with my grief was to
100%.
move that energy through my body by running. And people don't understand that, depression is just emotion repressed in your body, energy and motion, so move that emotion out of your body. But you don't have to run. You could dance, you could jump, you could exercise, you could ballroom dance, you could yoga. Do what you have to do. Our bodies were meant to move. Our bodies were meant to move. Like, I always think about people in Italy and they get to eat all this pasta. How are they so skinny? Well, because they're walking around everywhere. They
Everywhere.
walk around everywhere, and they don't have obviously the same ingredients that we do here in America. But seriously, really start paying attention to what you're putting in your body, because I love that you said earlier too, that you said, everyone has all these dreams, but when you're not healthy, you only have one, and that's to be healthy again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I literally just recently published an article from our company, STORRIE Wellness, in Authority magazine about 5 ways to improve mental wellness, mental
Mhm.
health. And yes, exercise is in there, right? Again, someone like myself who has never, walked or run or done anything, I'm about to run my third marathon. Like it's
Woo! Congratulations.
thank you. But
I
again, we
miss
all have
running.
to start. Yeah, we all have to start. And I know about the knees, girlfriend. I totally get it. Right? Again, running, nutrition, gut health, sleep. These are breath work. These are things I talked about in my article. You guys can go check it out. And I'm not talking about pharmaceuticals. I'm not talking about the newest innovative medication with least side effects. No, there is a better way. There is a better way. If you guys need to understand, again, don't get me wrong. There is a place for medications. There is a place for acute care, but that's for acute care. If I
Mhm.
broke my leg, I'm going to go see somebody who's going to help me and give me some pain meds to get over that. Yes. But that's not to think of why did you fall in your house and broke your leg? Why is that? You're
Yeah.
young. Let's look into your life. What's causing this versus, oh, let's just fix this. It's like, why did you even break it on the first place? This is actually the same conversation I was having during our event. We met one of the ladies, she was walking in her foot. And I was like, you're 32 years old. I'm like, how did you broke? She just fell off of her bed or something and she broke her leg. And I was like, that makes no sense. I'm like, have you checked this? Have you checked that? She's like, that's so interesting you're talking about that because I've been hearing about that after the fact. I'm like, good. You
Yeah.
need to listen to those conversations. But yeah, it all takes one person to start, this movement, this, having this ripple effect to everyone just bless the person in front of you. Just spread this message with one person, you guys, this conversation is resonating with you. You know what please share it with your bestie. Don't hold this
Yeah.
amazing content that we just shared. And there's so much more we can talk about. But again,
Exactly.
it all takes one person taking the information in, applying in their own life, and, start your own little like movement, your own challenge, whatever that is, to bring a tribe with you. Because when you do things together, it's just more fun. It's more, like sexy to do that. All
Yeah.
right. And you don't feel like you're alone. You don't feel like you're alone.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Dr. Christine, as we wrap up this episode, what would be your nugget of wisdom for someone who's listening to today?
Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to quote one of my favorite authors, Paulo Coelho. I hope I'm not butchering his quote, but it says, maybe the journey is not about becoming someone. Maybe it's all about unbecoming who you were so you can become the person you're meant to be. So again, I kind of
Ooh,
butchered it, but it's all about giving yourself permission to unbecome who you thought you were so you can make room to become the person you were meant to be. And again, I had to unbecome like a lot of things. I had to unbecome being this pharmacist, clinician who only knows this way, versus I had to let that all out, because what I'm creating is holistic wellness. What I'm creating is a movement to bring in holistic health into clinicians. So when next time you go see your doctor, you have high blood pressure, there's so many amazing, sexy options they can give you versus the pill. Right.
yeah.
And that's what we do inside our tribe, inside our STORRIE Institute. Like, I help clinicians to bring in holistic wellness into their practice. So this becomes the gold standard of care. Let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to where our body was meant to heal and thrive. And we do that. We carry the same message in our wellness practice as well, too, in STORRIE Wellness. My goal, my vision is to bring holistic wellness to corporate America, because
Oh, that's
I used to
beautiful.
be an employee. I know how it feels like to be on the other side and not have any resources, right? And I want to be that person, be like, no, when you have a day off, this is how you're going to spend your day off. So you are actually resting. Let me
Mm,
give you tools and resources, right? So again, we're not just telling people go take some PTO just to like distress. Like, what are you going to do with your time? Because most people are just going to probably go add more work to their to-do list because they have a day off. I'm like, no, we got to change that around. So again, I want you all to give yourself permission to let go of things that no longer serve you, so you can make room for things that you're meant to embrace and grow and thrive. So you can also create that domino effect of the person around you, because you're the hope and you're the person to someone else's prayers, because someone else out there is looking for you to go first so they can have the belief that they can do it too.
oh, I love it. How can my audience find you?
Oh my gosh, the best place. I'm on all social media platforms. If you guys are following me on Instagram, you can head over to Dr. Manukyan. But follow me on LinkedIn, also Dr. Christine Manukyan, Facebook, Christine Manukyan. I'm like pretty universal in all places. And if you're looking to rewrite your own health transformation, head over to our website, which is storriewellness.com. I think that will be a great place to start to look into your own health and wellness from a non-pharmaceutical lens. We do a whole body health. So yeah, would love to connect with you guys. And definitely, if you're listening to this episode, please tag us on Instagram too, because I want to see what actions you took from this episode, because that gives me the biggest joy knowing that my message was not only heard, but people are doing something about it, and not just like, oh, this was a fun episode, more like, what did you do about it? That makes me even more excited.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you again for listening to Journey of a Fearless Female. I'm your host, Paola Rosser. If you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual mentor, you can book a free discovery call with me at www.fearlessfemale.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at fearlessfemale_coach, subscribe to my YouTube channel at fearlessfemale, or find me on TikTok. I'm under at paola.rosser. And if you love this episode, make sure you hit subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a review. I read every single review, and I truly appreciate the time you spend writing it.